The initial attraction for Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, the follow-up to the original Virtua Fighter 4, is obviously the two new characters, Go and Brad, who have different fighting styles. Go is much more adept at doing ground attacks, while Brad is sort of this kickboxer. But really, Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution has a lot more than that. Sega AM2 added a whole bunch of new features and new modes that really make it much more diverse and much more robust than the original port of Virtua Fighter 4 for the PlayStation 2. The first thing you'll notice is that they basically replaced the Kumite mode in the original game with something called the Quest mode. In this mode, you select a fighter and you can basically go to one of several locations on this map. One location called Sega World is basically where you can fight just a bunch of different opponents as you would have in the Kumite mode. After several fights, you get to do a ranking match where you can improve your rank. However, if you go to this place to the right of the map called the Event Center, you can participate in one of 5 different tournaments. Each of these tournaments has sort of different criteria that come into play during the match. So, for example, in one of them, when you knock down an opponent, you take more damage off of them. In another type of tournament, when you knock them into a wall, you take more damage off of them. There's also a few other types, one of which speeds up combinations, so the game actually plays much more like something like Dead or Alive, or a much faster paced fighting game where you can basically just do button mashing to do most of your combinations. It's really fun and really interesting to see how much the game actually changes just from a little boost in speed. There's also another tournament type where basically it's a one-round match, but moves take off very little damage, so the match actually takes like a few minutes to actually get through. So there's all kinds of different sorts of stuff you can do, and if you actually win one of these tournaments, or at least place in the top 3, then you can go into the shop and buy different sorts of items for your characters, everything from headdresses to sunglasses to a different set of clothing. You can even purchase the character models from the original Virtua Fighter. So there's really a lot of replay value in the Quest mode. What's also sort of cool about the Quest mode is that when you're doing the ranking matches, is that you can actually win icons from other players. So for example, if you're fighting against an Akira, you'll see a little icon appear on the screen. When you beat him, that icon flips over to your side and it means you get to keep it as a sign that you beat that particular player. Of course, later on down the line, that player can come back and challenge you and take that icon back. So basically, Sega has done a really good job of making it seem like Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution is online when in fact it's not. All the opponents you encounter in these modes have all sorts of different types of AI. There's different fighting styles for the same types of characters. For example, you'll encounter different types of Akiras that fight almost completely differently. Sega has even made some additions to the arcade mode. When you're going through a few different matches, you'll reach one match that is called basically a mission. And in this match, you have to meet a certain set of criteria in order to win a prize for your fighter. So for example, in one of these matches, you might have to perform 4 throws, or you might have to hit the opponent a certain amount of times, or hit them more than they hit you over the course of the match. If you don't fulfill this criteria, then you won't get the prize, but you can still win the match regardless. It's sort of an interesting little twist to just the generic arcade style of gameplay. Sega has not only made a bunch of additions to the different modes in the game, but they actually also improved the technical aspects. The graphics look actually much smoother than they did in the original PlayStation 2 port of Virtua Fighter 4. You don't see a lot of the little kind of rough edges around the characters. The environments also look a little bit more detailed. They're also a little bit smoother. You'll see this contrast because the original levels are actually still in the game, so you'll be able to tell right away which levels are new and which ones aren't. Even some of the sound has been improved. You'll hear little grunts and groans during the match that weren't there in the original game. You'll hear more environmental noise. So really, just Sega's really made the effort to improve just about every aspect of Virtua Fighter 4 for this game. Sega could have just as easily added the 2 new characters and been done with it, and people probably would have bought the game regardless, but they've actually gone far beyond that by adding a bunch of different modes. They've expanded the customization features for the characters. I mean, there's all sorts of items you can get to make your characters look unique. The different types of modes are really fun to play, and just about any Virtua Fighter fan should really be on the lookout for this one.